Today I have a story to share, one that changed everything I believed about love, trust, and betrayal. I once thought my life was perfect. My wife, Layla, and I built a beautiful home in a quiet suburb. Our days were filled with simple joys: morning, coffee, movie nights, and a shared love for gardening. To outsiders, we were the ideal couple. But perfection is an illusion, and I was blind to the cracks forming beneath the surface. Layla worked in marketing, a job that demanded constant travel. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? She was my partner, my confidant. While she thrived in the spotlight, I preferred the background. I believed our differences made us stronger. Then things began to shift. Layla started coming home late. At first I dismissed it as work. But then there were the hushed phone conversations, the secretive smiles at her screen, the evasive answers when I asked. "Just the girls," she'd say with a casual shrug. I wanted to believe her. I did. Until one night, when I found her, phone glowing in the dark. I knew it was wrong to look, but something in me whispered that I had to, and what I found shattered everything. A message from someone named Gloria. "Can't stop thinking about last night." It was amazing. My heart pounded. My hands shook. The room seemed to close in around me. I scrolled through their chat, desperate for an innocent explanation. But the messages told a different story. Inside jokes, late-night confessions, plans for the future. This wasn't just an affair. It was an emotional connection, one she had kept hidden from me. I put the phone back, staring out the window as realization sank in. It wasn't just the cheating that hurt. It was how completely she had fooled me. The morning kisses that stopped, the sudden obsession with the gym, the nights out with friends, signs I had ignored, now glaringly obvious. By sunrise, the pain morphed into something colder, sharper. Not just anger, calculated fury. When Layla came downstairs, smiling, asking if I wanted pancakes, I saw her differently. She didn't see me as a threat. She saw me as a fool. That was her first mistake. She had no idea who I used to be. And I was about to remind her, revenge isn't rushed. It requires patience, proof, precision. So I played my part, smiled, ate. Her pancakes, kissed her cheek, and went to work. But inside, I was seething. That afternoon, I called Dale, a private investigator with a reputation for discretion. We met that night, and I laid it all out. "I need evidence," I told him. "Texts, photos, locations, everything." Dale smirked. "Give me a few days." 3 days later, my phone rang. "Jack, you were right," Dale said, his voice grim. "I have everything. I met him that night, and what he showed me froze my heart. Pictures of Layla entering an upscale hotel with Gloria. Screenshots of messages, plans for the weekend. This wasn't a fling. It was something deeper. Something she had been nurturing behind my back for months. And just like that, my pain disappeared. No rage, no tears, just clarity. Every betrayal deserves consequences. And I was about to deliver mine. Ariadna and Gloria were about to face their reckoning. Yet Ariadna remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around her. She believed she was in control, but her carefully constructed world was crumbling. The best part? She still saw me as the naive, harmless man I once was. After her business trip, the cracks in her life widened. I watched as she scrambled to salvage her job, reputation, and marriage, oblivious to the fact that her own actions had set this downfall in motion. Unlike her, I was calm, methodical, and finally in control. The fool she had once deceived was gone, replaced by a man determined to even the score. The days after her return were filled with tension. Ariadna was desperate to rebuild, but the mask she had so carefully worn was slipping. Her colleagues whispered, her employer investigated, and the weight of it all began to suffocate her. One evening, she came home, pale and trembling. "Jack," she finally said, breaking the silence. "I'm scared. Work is falling apart. HR is investigating and people are talking. I don't know how much longer I can hold on." I studied her, absorbing every word, every anxious movement. She was terrified, yet she still hadn't connected the dots, hadn't realized that I was the architect of her ruin. The tip-offs, the messages, the whispers, it had all been me. She thought she was battling an unknown enemy when, in reality, she was fighting the consequences of her own betrayal. "You'll get through this, Ariadna," I whispered, feigning reassurance. "It's just a misunderstanding. It'll pass." She looked at me, doubt flickering in her eyes. That doubt, that was my victory. It wasn't just about exposing her infidelity. It was about watching her unravel piece by piece. But I wasn't done yet. The next phase? Gloria. The man who had stolen what was mine was about to face his own reckoning. I had gathered everything: his debts, shady deals, and vices. A few well-placed calls, some subtle nudges to his creditors, and the pressure mounted. Soon, the cracks in his life became fractures. Ariadna noticed. She worried about him, but beneath her concern I saw something else. Doubt. Was he worth all this destruction? One night she came home more distressed than ever. "Jack, I need to talk. Gloria's in trouble. He's being threatened, harassed. It's bad, really bad." I fought back a smirk. She was trapped, torn between her crumbling affair and the fallout at work. She still had no idea I was behind it all. "Do you think he'll be okay?" I asked, feigning concern. "I don't know," she admitted. "Everything is falling apart. My job, my relationship, I don't know what to do." She was exactly where I wanted her, lost, desperate, unaware that I held all the strings. And then the final move, public exposure. Ariadna lived for her image, her career, her friendships, her status. So I took it all. An anonymous email, undeniable proof of her betrayal, and a simple message: "You deserve the truth." The fallout was instant. Her phone buzzed with accusations. Her mother sobbed on the other end, and whispers turned into shouts. That night she confronted me, her face a mask of rage and humiliation. "Was it you? Did you send those pictures? Did you ruin my life?" I met her gaze, calm, unmoved. "Why would I do that, Ariadna?" I asked, my voice steady. "I hardly even know you anymore." Her eyes widened in realization. For the first time, she truly saw me, not as the man she had deceived, but as the force that had dismantled her world. "I can explain," she pleaded. "I made a mistake, Jack, a terrible mistake." I shook my head. "No, Ariadna, you made a choice, and now you're facing the consequences." Her sobs filled the room as she collapsed onto the couch. It was too late. There was no redemption, no forgiveness. Her life unraveled completely. Fired for ethical violations, abandoned by Gloria, shunned by friends who no longer wanted to be associated with her scandal. At home, she was a ghost of the woman I once loved, haunted by her own choices. And me? I felt nothing. The final act was divorce. But not just any divorce. I ensured she lost everything. My lawyer Lauren made sure every financial detail worked in my favor. Ariadna had taken everything from me once. Now it was my turn to take it all back. Everything was set in my favor. Ariadna never saw it coming. She believed she had full control. But in the end, I held the final decision. As I walked out of my failed marriage, I realized a crucial lesson: never underestimate someone with nothing left to lose. Watching her struggle to salvage her crumbling world was oddly satisfying. The once flawless woman now appeared disheveled, her pristine confidence shattered, her once polished look now a mere shadow of itself. She spent hours on the phone, desperately trying to fix the chaos she had created, but nothing worked. One evening, as she sat staring blankly at her phone, I knew it was time. I slid the divorce papers across the table. Her eyes widened in disbelief. What is this?" she stammered. "Divorce papers," I said coldly. "It's over, Ariadna." Her hands trembled as she skimmed the document. "Jack, you can't be serious. Can we talk about this?" "There's nothing left to say. You made your choices. Now you live with them." Tears streamed down her face, but I felt nothing. Not anger, not pity, just finality. She wasn't mourning me. She was mourning the loss of her security, her lifestyle, her illusion of control. The divorce was swift. With the evidence of her betrayal, I secured everything: the house, the assets, the finances. Meanwhile, Ariadna spiraled into financial ruin. Her debts mounted, her job opportunities vanished, and the man she risked it all for had disappeared. She was alone. One day, she appeared at my doorstep, looking broken, eyes swollen from crying. "Jack, I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong. Please, let's try again. I'll do anything." I looked at her, feeling nothing. "No, Ariadna, we're done. You made sure of that." She collapsed in sobs, but I didn't let her in. I closed the door, leaving her with her shattered dreams. As weeks passed, I rebuilt my life. My home, once filled with chaos, now embraced silence and peace. I rediscovered passions long buried: music, woodworking, the joy of living on my own terms. Meanwhile, whispers of Ariadna's downfall spread. She lived in a tiny apartment, jobless, isolated, a far cry from the woman she once was. Then one day, a letter arrived. It was from her. "Jack, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I have to say this: I'm sorry, not just for cheating, but for taking you for granted. You were a good man, and I threw it all away. I know I can't undo the damage, but I hope one day you'll forgive me. Ariadna." I read it twice, then folded it and tucked it away. It didn't change the past, but it closed a chapter. With nothing tying me to this place, I left. I moved to a quiet town in the Pacific Northwest, found work at a hardware store, volunteered, and even adopted a dog. Life was simple, but it was mine. Sometimes I wondered if Ariadna ever found peace, but it didn't matter. Our lives were no longer intertwined, and that was freeing. Looking back, I had no regrets. She thought I was weak, someone she could walk over. She was wrong, even. The kindest people have limits, and when those limits are crossed, their response can be unpredictable.